It's a spot, bro. That's all you get at those fish.
Do not go diving at T Point. There are huge aggressive sharks. The water is always terribly murky, and it's so close to Auckland that there are basically no fish left. At least that's what they say, but is it true?
In this episode we are diving T Point. It's been a few years since I've dived here, so we're excited to see what's new, what's changed. Busy day here at T Point, but there's not too many other divers, so we reckon we're going to get onto the fish.
T Point is a headland off Omaha Beach, which is about an hour's drive north of Auckland. Being in such close proximity makes this area a very popular destination for spearfishermen and divers of all skill levels.
Especially.
It is, eh? It's quite a big shoal of little needles come past.
Some big silver drummer down there. And saw a good trev as well.
Oh, cool. Oh, that was packed with goatees.
Oh yeah? I reckon I'm onto a spot here. Check it out.
T Point has garnered a strong reputation in the New Zealand spearfishing scene. This place has a lot of potential, but the conditions are often challenging, dangerous, and hard to predict. T Point is situated at the mouth of an estuary. This is what helps feed the ecosystem. During tidal changes, the amount of water that flows through here is ginormous, and the currents are like unfathomable. The moving, constantly shifting waters breathe life into the area, and because of this, there is still plenty despite being so close to Auckland. John Dory are a staple of T Point spearfishing. These predatory fish like to hide in the kelp, watching small bait fish.
Found her. Wasn't gonna let her get away again.
John Dory have incredible camouflage. If they get suspicious about you and decide to leave, they'll often only go a short distance. And there's a boat. Gotta look out for those guys. Wouldn't want to get hit by a boat when you're out there. Seriously. Make sure you're diving with a flag and keeping an eye on your surroundings.
Anybody home?
No. Okay, that boat sounded so close now.
Yeah, they're getting pretty close. We'll probably let the current drag us out, eh? We'll hit the weed line.
Yeah.
While you're out spearfishing, one of the greatest threats to your life is being hit by a boat, getting sliced up by the propeller, or knocked out and drowning underwater. T Point gets a huge amount of boat traffic. Please be careful.
There's two good ones down here.
Oh, is it? Trevally.
Personally, my scariest spearfishing moments have involved near misses with boats and jet skis. I would still consider myself a bit naive and reckless, but back in the day, I was straight ruthless. The closest I ever came was a summer afternoon diving the Tairua harbour entrance without a float or flag. I popped up to the surface and about a foot or two behind me was a jet ski going by. When I was at the bottom, I could hear the engine from the jet ski approaching from a distance, and I decided I could wait it out. I got a good breath hold, I can wait this one out. I was wrong, and as I neared the end of my breath, I started my ascent to the surface. I remember one of my dive instructors years ago telling me that you don't hear a boat's engine when you're directly underneath it. The last couple of meters were dead silence. I understood my predicament, but it was too late to do anything. Those moments will be burned into my mind forever. I will never forget them. My ignorance could have cost me my life, but I have learned from it and have changed the way I dive because of it. I share the story in the hopes that you don't have to have a near-death experience with a water vehicle to realize that it could happen. Personally, I would have to rank water vehicle traffic as the #1 hazard to spearfishermen at T Point. Trevally are another fish that can be commonly found at T Point, usually in areas of high water movement, feeding in schools, out in the open, slightly away from the kelp. Trevally are incredibly reactive fish. Extending on them with your spear gun can be extremely difficult at times. Slow, deliberate movements are essential as to not scare away your prey. It is better to aim where the fish will be rather than at the fish itself. 2-for-1 shots give me mixed emotions. Sure, it's a thrill, hitting that lucky chance or that epic skill shot if that's what you're aiming for, but a lot of the time it just ends up an injured fish. often that second fish you're gonna hit isn't gonna get done very well and it's gonna rip off. Luckily for me, the second fish made it into the float, just legal that trevally.
Yeah, you got double trouble there, eh?
Shortly after, Alan is onto his very own John Dory.
Good Dory, bro. Man.
First one.
And the way light gets deeper, the further we go, like down that way. So I'll probably just work it for a bit and see if we run into anything.
One of the most pervasive rumours circulating about T-Point is that it has large aggressive sharks. Personally, I've done actually quite a bit of diving at T-Point and I've never once seen a shark here, though I don't doubt that they are around. Bronze whaler sharks seem especially favourable to these estuary mouth type areas, where there's shallow reefs with fast running water. On top of this, sharks can get used to the presence of humans. With a lot of new up and coming divers coming to the area, shooting fish, the bronzies know a lot of the time that can be a free feed for them. They come, intimidate the new diver, and they got a feed. Quite a few people attest to the idea that the sharks here are particularly aggressive towards humans.
No, this will be fine in the boat.
A healthy ecosystem has sharks, and they are not the man-eaters we once thought they were. They keep balance. They stop you doing anything too reckless out there. Because you know if you shoot too many fish and drag them around, the sharks are gonna come.
Just nick one. Nicked it.
The arrows swimming around here, especially at the surface.
Yeah, maybe they're just not down deep today. Maybe going shallow might work. Because like at that marker, all the fish were hanging out shallow, like the John Dory in there.
Yep.
The visibility at T-Point usually isn't great. This day I would consider to be very fair conditions. I've seen it worse, I've seen it better, but this is like absolutely acceptable for the area. Being at the mouth of an estuary, when it rains it gets a lot of runoff and things can be murky for a while. Murky water, when combined with shark rumours, fast flowing water, boat traffic, can make for some spooky diving. However, it's what you sign up for when you come to T-Point. Butterfly perch are a fish most commonly found on reefs and pinnacles coming out of deep water. Occasionally I find juvenile butterfly perch in shallow reef structure. I'm not sure the reason, but it's always a treat to see them. We jumped in today on the full tide, and as it turned outgoing, we rode the current out past the headland, covering some reef structure. Now we're headed back against the outgoing current, and it is running very strong. We're trying to dive some of the areas we picked up fish on earlier, but the current is making it undivable. It is taking the vast majority of my effort and determination to not be swept away by the current, let alone trying to dive down and shoot some fish. Not happening.
Alan! I'm going back, the current's too strong!
I would consider the tidal currents at T-Point to be the second greatest threat to divers. They are seriously strong. When I'm out diving, I like to pick up rubbish if I see it and if I can manage to remove it. On my way back in during this dive, I found this top of a can. When I was looking through the footage later, I noticed something. It appears in the background of a video from hours ago. The sea here from earlier will surely appreciate it. I believe in karma, and I'll take every blessing I can get to try and make it through this narrow channel where all the water is trying to escape, as I'm fighting my way against the water, inch by inch, trying to make it back to the entry point. I'm fully exerting myself and making very little progress. A couple seconds break would mean minutes of progress lost. I can't stop now, I have to keep going. Or I could simply hop out onto the rocks and avoid all the kerfuffle. But I'm so invested at this point and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. The force of all this water is a spectacle to behold, and almost a pleasure in some ways. As the water crests over shallow rocks, it gains momentum, increasing in force, but it gives me something to hold on to. Using my left hand, I'm able to get a grip. From here, my progress fastens. Kicking with all my might, using my left hand to pull me along the reef, pushing with the butt of my gun, I managed to make it. Make it out past the bottleneck, out from that absolutely vicious current, regain my breath, and reevaluate. Diving at T Point is often a wild ride, and it hardly ever unfolds the way I would expect it to. This place is full of unexpected challenges and changing conditions.
What is this water fish? Maybe like 4 or 5 times bigger than the biggest needlefish I've seen. Fucking fish.
Getting there. That's the spot, bro. That's all you though. You can have those fish.
What's the New Zealand record?
T Point can get a bad rap, and deservingly so, but it provides a dynamic and exciting marine environment that I'm always happy to explore. Most of the time when you hear people talking about T Point, they'll be warning you about the sharks and the visibility.
This bit's the worst though. You just gotta hold on to the rocks.
In my experience, getting sharked is for the most part avoidable,
Yeah, it's only been going for 2 hours, so it's still getting stronger.
and visibility doesn't really matter that much.
Pretty gnarly, eh? Definitely gotta get the tides right here.
The biggest things that you should be looking out for when you're at T Point is boat traffic and water currents. To conclude this video, do not go diving at T Point if you will not respect the conditions that are there, and be ready to adapt when they change, because they will. This episode's sustainability message is reconnect with nature.